Hi everyone, my name is Marcilla Ryan Harris and I'm one of the co-founders of Black Health, and I'm joined by two other co-founders, Matthew.
Hey y'all.
And Khadijah.
Hey y'all.
And you may notice that there's missing one person. Unfortunately, Paula couldn't be here with us today because she's in South Africa living her best life. So, more power to you, girl. We miss you, and we'll see you soon in May. Okay? Black Health is a nonprofit organization that engages the public and health professionals on the impact of racism on Black health, and then equips them to do something about it. We envision a world where racism and other intersecting forms of oppression do not determine a person's ability to achieve optimal health. Today, we are so excited to welcome you all to the Year 2 launch of our Good Down There campaign in partnership with our friends at Cottonelle to raise awareness and promote screening for colorectal cancer so that you and your loved ones can make sure that you are good down there. Now, if you know anything about Black health, we love to talk about racism. Like, love it. One of our favorite things to do. And so, before we jump into the details about the Good Down There campaign, we want to first talk about racism, colorectal cancer, and its impact on Black health. Now, Khadijah, I know you recently worked on a research brief with Colorectal Health, which is a health data analytics company, about colorectal cancer disparities. Can you talk a little bit about what y'all found?
Yeah, so Black Health recently teamed up with Colorectal Health to examine Black patients' experience across the colorectal cancer continuum of care. And in that analysis, we found some sobering facts. So we found that Black patients waited an average of 8 days longer than white patients for treatment following their initial colorectal cancer screening. We also found that among patients newly diagnosed with colorectal cancer, Black patients presented with a more advanced stage of colorectal cancer. So 20.9% of Black patients were diagnosed after their cancer had already metastasized versus white patients, which was 18.6%.
Yeah, Khadijah, you mentioned that Black patients waited 8 days longer than white patients to get into care. Why is that important?
Yeah, so it's really important because the longer you wait to get into care, then your outcomes are gonna fare worse. And so it's best that once you get a positive diagnosis, that you get into care immediately. But we know Black patients face barriers to getting into care.
For sure.
And these findings with this research report that we did with Colorectal Health are really built into existing research in this space around colorectal cancer disparities that Black people in the US face. And so Black Americans are 20% more likely to be diagnosed with colorectal cancer than white Americans. We're more likely to be diagnosed at an earlier stage, so that's called early onset colorectal cancer, and we're more likely to die from colorectal cancer. So we're 40% more likely to die than our white American counterparts. But the silver lining is that colorectal cancer is highly treatable and preventable. So if caught early, colorectal cancer has a 90% survival rate, which is why it's so important for Black folks to get into care early and to get screened early.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Khadijah. You know, health disparities in colorectal cancer are really similar to health disparities in other health conditions like heart disease and diabetes. You know, people often think that it's behavior or like something about Black people that makes them more likely to have poor health outcomes. But what we know, and as Black Health, that racism is really what causes us as a community to have poor health outcomes sometimes. And so, you know, racism has an impact on the policies, the structures that then have an influence on health outcomes, and also historic and present day manifestations of racism lead to Black people not having access to resources that could protect our health. You know, these are resources like health insurance, access to healthy foods, close proximity to health centers, all things that could be really beneficial to the health of Black people that we sometimes do not have. And then once we are able to get into care, people experience racism, they experience discrimination, it makes us less likely to want to engage with these systems. So what we decided to do with the Good Down There campaign with Cottonelle is really to address some of these barriers, right? If we can create a way for people to get screenings in the comfort of their own homes, if we can provide opportunities for them to get care with organizations that they're comfortable with, we can really help people and beat colorectal cancer.
Yeah. That was some great information. Thanks, Khadijah and Matthew. And so now that we've talked about the disparities, let's get into just some basic facts, like what is colorectal cancer? So we're going to hear from one of our friends, gastroenterologist and health equity expert, Dr. Fola May, on all things you need to know about colorectal cancer.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Fola May. I'm a gastroenterologist and health researcher at UCLA and conduct research on how to prevent colorectal cancer. I am also an advisory board member of Black Health, where I am involved in supporting the development of programming for activities to address health inequities around the world. In the next few minutes, I'll provide a bit of an overview on colorectal cancer, what it is, how it affects Black Americans, the symptoms, and how we prevent it. Mainly, we want everyone to know that colorectal cancer is preventable and that everyone needs to get screened. Colorectal cancer refers to both cancers of the colon and cancers of the rectum. Because these two conditions can cause similar symptoms, occur in close parts of the body, and are treated similarly, we refer to them together as colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer starts as a polyp, which is a small tissue growth in the lining of the colon or rectum. Polyps are very common, and many of us will develop at least one in our lifetime. However, some polyps have the potential over years to transition into cancers. The goals of colorectal cancer screening are to remove these polyps before they turn into cancer and to find cancers early enough when they are still curable. Many people don't realize that colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer in the United States. It is also the second most common cause of cancer-related deaths in men and women. Black individuals, unfortunately, have the highest number of colorectal cancer diagnoses in the United States each year. We are also more likely to die from this disease than individuals in other racial and ethnic groups. The good news, however, is that colorectal cancer is largely preventable. It is recommended that everyone undergo screening, and there is strong evidence that screening prevents cancers and saves lives. Currently, there are many recommended strategies for colorectal cancer screening. People who have had colorectal cancer in their family should be screened with colonoscopy. However, if there is no history of colorectal cancer in your family, you can pick from any of these screening options. Some options are stool-based tests like the FIT kit and Cologuard that you can perform at home. Others are imaging tests like CT colonography. These test options are less invasive, but do require colonoscopy to find polyps and cancers if they are abnormal. And there's also colonoscopy, which is the most common screening test and gives doctors, like me, the opportunity to find and remove polyps at the same time. It's important to talk to your doctor about the best screening test option for you. The age to start screening is also very important. Recently, we have seen colorectal cancer affect younger Americans. While we once thought of this disease as the disease of 60 and 70-year-olds, we are now seeing more and more cases in people in their 40s and 50s. The rise in early cases has led the medical community to change recommendations about when to start screening. If you have a family history of colorectal cancer, you should begin screening at age 40 or sometimes even earlier. So it's important to mention this family history to your doctor. If you do not have a family history of colorectal cancer, you should begin screening at age 45. Most colorectal cancers are asymptomatic, which is why screening is so important. People who have symptoms of colorectal cancer need more urgent evaluation and should not wait for the screening age. The symptoms of colorectal cancer include blood in the stool, change in the shape of the stool, new constipation, new diarrhea, new abdominal pain, and iron deficiency. If you have one of these symptoms at any age, you should talk to your doctor about getting a colonoscopy. The work that Black Health is doing in Black communities around the country will help us bring more awareness to colorectal cancer and beat this disease. Right now, colorectal cancer screening rates are too low in Black communities. We are also more likely to ignore the symptoms of colorectal cancer until it is too late. For both reasons, we are dying too early and too often from this disease. Knowledge is power, and everyone should feel empowered to take control of their own health. Make colorectal cancer screening a priority for you, your family, and your loved ones.
Thank you so much, Dr. May. That was so informative. I just love her.
Me too.
She's great. She's great. And so, Matthew, you were talking about earlier just how intentional we were when we were designing this program and to really make sure that we were addressing the structural barriers that Black people face. So, let's tell people, what is the Good Down There campaign?
Yeah, so the first step is, I think the most important step is, of course, the screening test. The test that we have allows people to test for blood in their stool, which is an early symptom of colorectal cancer. And they can do this test in the comfort of their home and get their results in 4 to 5 minutes. You know, the recommended screening age, as Dr. May said, is 45. Lower last year from 50. But if you have a family history of colorectal cancer, they actually recommend that you screen even earlier. We've also seen, early onset colorectal cancer in Black people, and so, it's our opinion that Black people should screen even earlier if possible. And so the big part of our distribution is getting these screening kits into people's hands so that they can then screen themselves for colorectal cancer. And once we do have the test in their hands, we've also included some additional resources so that folks can know what next steps they should take if they do receive a positive.
I love that. And I don't know, my favorite part about the entire campaign is the financial aspect of it.
Money.
Because we know, because we know that the financial burden of healthcare impacts a lot of Black people, whether they have health insurance or not.
Right.
And so I love that we've been able to set aside $300,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That we have allocated in partnership with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance to pay for colonoscopies for Black people in need. And so far, we've paid for 14 colonoscopies.
Wow.
And we've even been able to get a person into care who did test positive for colorectal cancer. And so to me, that just proves that the program is doing what we've intended for it to do. And the partnership with Colorectal Cancer Alliance also allows us the opportunity to provide people with health navigators so that way they can find care in their areas, and support groups for people who are newly diagnosed and their caregivers.
Wow.
So it's pretty great.
Yeah, and another part of our campaign that I really love is our Community Ambassador Program. And so we want to reach as many Black Americans as possible with these screening kits, with health information. And so we knew we needed to get some help to do that.
Right.
And so that's why we created this Community Ambassador Program to help extend our mission and make sure that we can reach Black Americans in other major cities. And so something that Black Health strongly believes in is that people living and working in a given community have the best understanding of that community's strengths and needs and assets. And so we really wanted to make sure that we included these community partners that lived, worked, played in these cities that had an understanding of their local context to support us with this distribution and giving out this health information. And so we recruited these like-minded organizations. And yeah, we're so privileged to have them partner with us. So I want to shout them out. We have Neighborhood Service Organization in Detroit. We have Change Happens in Houston, Texas. Trap Medicine in the Oakland, LA area. Babashi Transition to Hope in Philly, my birthplace. Some others, Might Eat in Washington, D.C., and Wellstar Health System in our home city of ATL, Georgia. Sure. So let's take a look at what our partners have to say about this program.
I'm Sarah Walsh. I'm the brand manager on Cottonelle for Kimberly-Clark. Cottonelle's brand purpose is to create a world of better intimate wellness for all. We launched our Down There Care campaign in 2019 to normalize the discussion associated with down there conversations. Last year, we introduced Good Down There as an extension of that program to demonstrate the impact these conversations can have on issues like colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer in the United States and the second most common cancer-related death. But if caught early and with the right treatment, there's a 90% survival rate. Black people are almost twice as likely as other races to die from colorectal cancer, which illustrates a disparity in access, education, and awareness around the issue. In partnership with Black Health, we created the Cottonelle Good Down There campaign to help address these disparities by providing health educational resources and free at-home colorectal cancer screening tests. We reached out to Black Health about a partnership after learning more about their mission. As a nonprofit that seeks to reduce the impact of racism on Black health through education and action, this partnership felt so aligned. Partnering could help us bring our resources together to fight against the disparity in the prevention and treatment of colorectal cancer for Black Americans. We are so excited to be partnering with Black Health for a second year so we can continue to spread awareness of this deadly yet treatable cancer and help incite people to take action with their intimate wellness. We'd like to say a huge thank you to the ambassador groups for their participation. Cottonelle and Black Health carefully sought out organizations with like-minded missions to extend the reach of Black Health's educational and healthcare resources in select markets throughout the U.S. Our local market partners are out there distributing Cottonelle Good Down There screening kits and offering education to Black Americans and underserved communities. It speaks volumes that all 6 of our Year 1 ambassador groups are coming back to participate this year. And on top of that, we're adding 2 new ambassador groups to the mix to continue to spread awareness. This program wouldn't be possible without the ambassador groups helping to distribute the screening kits and share resources to drive awareness around colorectal cancer. As we head into Year 2 of this program, we are so excited to be doubling the number of screening kits distributed with a goal to double the number of lives impacted overall versus 2021. Through local and virtual educational events, new partnerships, increased fundings, and distribution of the screening kits, we know we can reach this goal and can continue to build awareness around colorectal cancer with the ultimate goal of providing better intimate wellness for all.
My name is Laura Hill. I'm an operations coordinator with the Center for Health Equity, and I've been with WellStar for just under a year.
My name is Ralph Boyd, and I have the privilege of serving as the president and CEO of SUM, So Others Might Eat.
My name is Libro Charmatori. What I do for the organization I'm with, I am the practice manager of the Wellness Clinic. The organization I'm with is Babashi Transition to Hope.
I am Dr. Kathy Taylor with Collaborating Voices Foundation. I am an activist and an advocate in the domestic violence, human trafficking, seniors, foods, and also cancer.
Hi, I'm Bria.
And I'm He.
And my name is Maria. I currently serve as the Chief of Staff for TRAP Medicine, a nonprofit here in South Los Angeles. TRAP is an acronym for Trust, Research, Access, and Prevention. The emphasis of our focus is to shift the praxis of healthcare and to increase awareness about the risk associated with preventable illnesses. We do this by leveraging the cultural capital in the communities we serve in order to reduce disparities and increase health outcomes.
Colorectal cancer screening is critical to the community of people that we serve who are, in many instances, in most instances, enduring intense poverty, housing insecurity, experiencing or at risk of experiencing homelessness. And so that is a population that is especially susceptible to a range of adverse health consequences, and colorectal cancer is certainly one of them.
So the Good Down There campaign has been a significant part in our community as far as increasing access to care for colorectal cancer screenings. What we do is when we distribute the colorectal cancer screening kits, we also give our participants a demographic survey. So in the survey, we ask them, have they been screened for colorectal cancer before? And so far what we've seen is about 45% of our participants have not been screened. And so we also ask the question, if you have not been screened, then why? And what we saw is that 65% of those who have not been screened before didn't have that access to the screening. So that is a huge for us to be able to meet those people where they are and give them access to those screenings that they wouldn't normally have.
The Good Down There initiative with Cottonelle and #BlackHealth has had an impact on our community by being able to get the kits in these people's hands. We handed out several today. We're going to follow up with those individuals, see what the results were. And if they do happen to come up positive, we can make a referral to a primary care doctor and to get a colonoscopy. And really, the biggest thing the initiative done is create awareness. A lot of people don't know that they should be getting these screenings.
We serve Service Planning Area 6, which is SPA 6, primarily Black and brown individuals in Inglewood, in Compton, in Mid-City, in Leimert Park. And these are people that are already struggling with health disparities, access to quality care, and general medical mistrust. We think it's really important that we educate our neighbors and our community members on how they can be advocates in their own health. A lot of us at Trap Medicine, our team, our fellows, we grew up in SPA 6. Our families live in SPA 6. Our neighbors live in SPA 6.
And it impacted it so that now people are actually calling us what? We are the colorectal cancer kit ladies. So we go to churches as well as we go to the cancer cluster here in Houston in 5th Ward. We call a section here in the area of 5th Ward, Texas. They have a cancer cluster where they had many people who had cancer and different types of cancer. So when we showed up with these free kits and people didn't have to go to doctors, now people are looking for us, are calling us. We already have events on the books to get these kits out to the community that we serve.
The community Babashi serves and the community, or better, Tomorrow serves, where we are in Chester, is the underserved, uninsured Black community. So those are the people we're trying to get these kits in the hands of so that they can make informed decisions about their health.
So the campaign, the Good Down There campaign that involves Black Health, Cottonelle, and the Colorectal Alliance, and some, has just been so critical for us, especially with respect to their providing a designated screening fund that gives some and other community health organizations the opportunity to do screening of especially vulnerable people at scale, both on site in our clinics, out in our housing. We have 1,300 units of affordable housing. It allows us to get screening into those housing projects, those housing developments, and it also allows us to share those screening resources with other community partners who are addressing this and other healthcare issues amongst the most vulnerable populations within the district. So it is a critical campaign. It's a critical partnership.
My great-grandma died of colorectal cancer, and my family has gone through a lot, and I don't want to see anybody else go through that. So we want to make sure that we are giving our community members the access and availability to be able to be advocates in their own health and be key players in helping their own health outcomes. We think that's super important here at Trap Medicine.
And when we told them, if you tested positive, we also had resources to help you get a colonoscopy through the Colorectal Cancer Alliance. That blew people's mind, because not just we just brought some services and a product out, but we also had resources after them being tested. So thank you, Black Health. Thank you, Cottonelle, and just for choosing and allowing us to be a part of something that is so great that beyond ourselves or our organizations, and helping the community that we serve, the African American community. So we say thank you for allowing us to make sure that we're good down there.
All right.
Thank you so much to our wonderful ambassador organizations and Sarah from Cottonelle. You know, I just really love the organization so much. The work they do for their communities has just been so inspiring.
Yep.
So Matthew, what is the plan for this year? Like, how are we going to take this program to the next level?
Yeah, so this year we want to do it bigger and better. Last year we distributed 5,000 kits. We want to double that this year to 10,000. We'll do this, of course, through our ambassador organizations that we listed earlier, but also we want to go to 2 new cities. So we're trying to add New York and Chicago to the mix. So we're really excited to engage with those communities, see how we can impact colorectal cancer outcomes in their neighborhoods, and really work with the folks in New York and Chicago to get things done. So really excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, and we're also looking forward to doing more in-person events safely.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So one of Black House's main goals is to meet people where they're at. And so we wanted to go to churches, maybe y'all's family reunions or
Coming to the
cookouts.
I want a plate. Need a plate.
And maybe even a couple of major festivals near you. So look out for that.
I'm so excited for this year, y'all. Like, I think, like, being back in the community, you know, that's kind of how we started all of this. It's like being in the community and being with the people. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to doing that work. And so before we close out, we want to end this on a high note, and we want to hear from our friend and renowned poet, Adon Bean.
It is said that insanity is to do the same thing again and again and yet to expect different results. Call me crazy. Football is like a religion where I'm from. And in the name of the Father, I was the son learning how to throw a spiral. Mild-mannered and enamored with Pops, he taught me the footwork of the shotgun, the 5 and the 3-step drop, but when it got to the mechanics of a tight spiral, I was told that it was all in the hold, the grip, that the most valuable relationship was between the fingertips, and despite my best attempts to throw that pigskin crisp and tight, I could never, in spite of my efforts, seem to get it right. So when I tossed that ball into the air, wobbly with laissez-faire, he'd say, "Don't worry, wherever you throw it, son, just get it up and I'll be there." And if that's not a lesson in how to show up for someone, then I don't know what is. What a man does for his community, his partner, his kids. William Wallace said that every man dies, but not every man lives. And for every man that tries, I would like to give just a bit of advice. A little something to hold on to. That perhaps the most revolutionary thing that you could do is be here, be available, stay true, planted firms, be here for a long time, strong and in good health. If not for you, love your people enough to take care of yourself. Love them enough to be here when they need you. Rest up, get the checkups, because the stress can bleed through. Don't let unaddressed traumas in your life be the thing that leads you. They say insanity is to do the same thing again and again and yet expect a different result. But is that not also the definition of practice, of exercise, of training? And isn't love like throwing a perfect spiral something we practice, something we rehearse imperfectly? We put in the work to see if we can be better, if we can render ourselves further along, to be better fathers, better brothers, better friends, better lovers, so that by the time you and I take a knee and are 6 feet under, we've shown up for one another in ways that no one would ever have to wonder if we gave it our all. I'm speaking to me just as much as I'm talking to y'all. Beyond the stretched metaphors of sports and football, I may have never learned to thread the needle with a pass. And throwing a perfect spiral is a skill I may never amass. But no matter what life throws, I can show up. And that is the definition of a man.
Man, thank you so much, Adon, for that powerful piece. That was so moving. And thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope you learned something about colorectal cancer and the importance of getting screened, getting your loved ones screened. Screening doesn't hurt, so just do it, you know? And please just look out for us in our ambassador cities. If you're in Atlanta, tap in with us. We would love to connect, and make sure you're following us to stay up to date with everything that we'll be doing this year with the Good Down There campaign. So make sure you're following the movement. We are Black Health, that is BLKHLTH. It is all one word, no space, all lowercase. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We even have a TikTok. We haven't quite figured out how to use it yet. But we're there. So, you know, and of course we can always be found at blackhealth.com. Again, that's BLKHLTH.com. And you can find out more information about our Good Down There campaign. And we look forward to tapping in with y'all soon.